Welcome people to Real Stories UK. This is a story about Gareeca Conita Gordon, a Birmingham woman who was found guilty of the murder of another woman by the name of Pheonix Netts. Pheonix, aged 28 at the time of her death, was found by colleagues at Gloucestershire Constabulary on the 12th of May in the Forest of Dean. She had been dismembered and her body was found in 2 suitcases. As the investigation developed, officers determined that Pheonix was murdered at the house in Salisbury Road, Birmingham, where she was living at the time. She was a former university student who struck up a friendship with a new resident at the Birmingham Women's Refuge where she lived. Pheonix Netts took Gordon under her wing when she moved into the Women's Refuge in the Lascelles area of Birmingham early last year, and the two quickly became close friends. But the 28-year-old Gordon soon developed sexual feelings which weren't mutual, and when Pheonix, also 28 at the time, declared she was going to leave Birmingham and return to London, it triggered her brutal murder. West Midlands police say Pheonix, who was originally from Croydon in South London, wouldn't have died from the injuries inflicted on her if she had been able to seek medical assistance. Police officers said it was around 12 hours after her injuries that she died in a flat. Gordon hoped her heinous crimes would never be discovered, but on the 12th of May, 2020, Gloucestershire police swooped on a man and a woman who was spotted by a member of the public driving erratically near the town of Colford. The car was followed by police, who then found Gordon standing alone by the entrance near the Forest of Dean late at night. Nearby were 2 large suitcases. Horrified officers opened them and discovered a charred torso and other body parts identified by DNA as those belonging to Pheonix. Searches were launched around the Stovefield Quarry and the village of Staunton, close to the Welsh border. Forensic officers descended on the scene and roads were closed off. Gordon thought she had gotten away with murder, but the game was up.
Officers at Gloucestershire Constabulary received reports of a suspicious car on the 12th of May last year. It was during lockdown and in a secluded area in the Forest of Dean. Local officers checked the registration and saw the car was registered to an address in Wolverhampton. They spoke to the driver, who said he was waiting for a friend. He was reminded of COVID regulations and sent on his way. Shortly after, other officers on patrol spotted a suitcase lying on the side of the road at the entrance of the quarry, not far from where the car was seen previously. The same car was seen travelling slowly towards it. Officers followed the vehicle and issued a fixed penalty to the driver for breach of COVID regulations. Meanwhile, other officers found that a woman was now with the suitcases. She was trying to stall them from opening them up. When they did, a grim discovery was made.
You're gonna get arrested for obstructing police.
All right, I don't wanna stop you guys.
You are stopping it. You are stopping us.
Okay, can I just explain, because as I said before, like I've had.
Step away, please.
I've had issues with that before.
Step away, please.
Just stand there. Okay.
What the?
Tragically, a dismembered body was within. The woman, Gareeca Gordon, was arrested on suspicion of murder and taken into custody. Inquiries were carried out and officers established Gordon was from Birmingham. Gloucestershire Constabulary launched an investigation and worked closely with detectives at West Midlands Police. The body was identified as Pheonix Netts, who lived at the same multi-occupancy house as Gordon in Salisbury Road, Birmingham.
Pheonix, aged 28 at the time of her death, was found by colleagues at the Gloucestershire Constabulary on the 12th of May in the Forest of Dean. She had been dismembered and her body was found in 2 suitcases. As the investigation developed, officers determined that Pheonix was murdered at a house in Salisbury Road, Birmingham, where she was living at the time. Superintendent Scott Griffiths from the West Midlands Police told Birmingham Live this was a case which shocked even hardened officers. The discovery of Pheonix's body dismembered in a suitcase was truly horrific. Pheonix had moved from London to Birmingham and had been living in the accommodation for some time. When Gordon moved into the property in the early part of last year, she lived next door to Pheonix and the two quickly developed a close friendship. But sexual feelings developed on the side of Gordon towards Pheonix. She wanted a sexual relationship with her. Pheonix didn't want this, and she made plans to move back to London. From tests carried out on her remains, coroners were able to establish that she was stabbed 4 times. Officers believed that the stab wounds inflicted on her wouldn't have been enough to kill her if she was able to seek medical assistance, but she wasn't, and she died in a flat. This is when Gordon shows how extremely cold and calculated she was, after purchasing a circular saw and dismembering the body of Pheonix. She then went on to take on the persona of Pheonix, where she sent messages to her family and friends, telling them she was okay and she would soon be back down in London. It is thanks to someone who reported the car being driven erratically that police traced Gordon and discovered what she had done. Superintendent Griffiths said Gordon had no previous convictions and in the past had only received a caution for petty crime. But in May 2021, Gordon was convicted for the murder of Pheonix Netts and she was sentenced to 23 years in prison. For the latest in urban news and stories, subscribe, hit that thumbs up, hit that notification bell and stay tuned into Real Stories UK.